Scottie Scheffler, he's having a Tiger-esque season this year, winning the Masters, the Players, Olympics, and loads of other tournaments. So let's have an in-depth look at his swing. So you can see him on the left at Paris, where he won the gold medal. You can see he's got a nice setup there, really nice angles. Arms are pretty much hanging just outside the shoulders there. Really nice neutral setup in terms of what his body angles are doing. And then if we look from face on, look at his grip, pretty stock there. Maybe I'd say left hand maybe a little bit weaker than some guys, but not massively weak. He's got a nice little tilt in his spine for hitting driver. A little bit of foot flare in the right side, sorry. Not a huge amount in the left side. Let's maybe see why he shifts around in the swing with that footwork there. But let's have a look as we take him back. So you'll see that little momentum kick with that right knee as he takes the club back. A lot of guys will have some sort of trigger move just to keep the momentum and keep that pressure moving throughout the feet. So moves it back into just a very nice one piece, very wide takeaway position here. Apologies, the camera does move, but you can see there, if we look at that position, really nice and wide with the arms there. That butt of the club is staying nice and far away from his belly. You can see how that butt of the club would be pointing at his belly button there. Club head outside the hands. It's very sort of a la Butch Harmon Tiger sort of action. I love that really nice wide takeaway there. You'll see, let's move him to midway back here. You can see how his hips have started to rotate. That left knee's moved sort of towards the ball as his hips are rotating. You'll see that more from face on there. You can see how that left knee's just starting to move in this way. And you see there, look how much width he's got in the hands there. Subtle amount of right arm bend, but loads and loads of width. Not a great deal of wrist set. I think guys are sort of changing from this idea of having the club set bolt upright at this position, because I think it helps in the downswing just create some extra stretch through the wrist and really create some power. Just loads and loads of width there. Let's have a little look from down the line. You can see this is where Scottie's a little bit unusual, and it's not the prettiest swing. You can see how that right elbow started to work behind his body. Perhaps he's got some inflexibility there in that right shoulder, that right arm. I don't know, or it just might be just the way he moves it. So let's bring him up to the top here. You can see, look at this trail hip, how he starts to almost sit down into that hip there. You see, so he's really loading into that hip. You can see how those hips are sort of moving back. You see as he gets up to the top, really moves that weight backwards. You can really see that if I just draw a line here. Look how much those hips start to move back towards the top of his swing. There's a lot of movement in this swing that just goes to show that you don't have to stay still to hit great golf shots. So if we look from face on, look at that position there. Look how little wrist set he's got. Very wide there. What that allows him to do is on the downswing, he'll just create a little bit more stretch there, but really wide. Look at that. Usually guys at this position, you'd see the shaft more in that sort of position, but Scottie's really up there. And what you're going to see is, because he does that, he'll start to bend that left arm quite a lot as he gets up to the top. Watch there. Because he's not got the angle in his wrist, he has to somehow get that angle, and he does that by bending his left arm there. Now, looks a bit funky, but it really works. You'll see how much that right hand is behind his head there, and you can see how that right elbow from down the line's really pushed out behind him, and that's where he gets these hands really above his head, where most guys you'd see in this position, the arm would be a bit more here and the club a little bit more there. But because if we look down the line, that right elbow really gets out behind his body there. You can really see how it pushes out. He gets into this slightly funky position, which is not traditionally taught, but a lot of great players have been there, Jack Nicklaus being one of them. So really gets that flying elbow out behind his body. You'll see he's not in this, if I zoom into the wrist, he's got, if anything, a little bit of cupping in that left wrist. Not a huge amount, but he's not like John Rahm or Sendr Scheffler with a load of like bow in that left wrist. And slightly across the line here, I mean, these are slightly different time frames in terms of when the swing was taken. So you can see on the right, he's a little bit shorter at the PGA Championship earlier on in the year. Might have been trying to hit a different shot. But let's have a look now what happens in the downswing. Now, I like to think of downswing as transition and then the downswing. So you'll see as he gets up to the top there, his first move, watch his first move. It's that left knee sort of working out and back. So watch first move. Can you see that? Boom. Starts to move out and back. So if we watch it from face on, you'll see that's his first move there. That left knee working towards the target. And you can see that, look how much bend he's got in that left arm. Very unusual, but it's a lot of long drive guys actually employ that because it's like it's an extra lever allowing that left arm to bend and then straighten. So that first move, he really initiates it with that left knee. You'll see here, watch what his head starts to do. Now, because he's so upright and that arm is out back behind him, you'll start to see this head move back away from the golf ball there. Now, what that does, it just allows him to shallow that club out. He really drops it behind toward away from the golf ball there. Look at that move. And what that allows him to do is just shallow that club head out. It's very difficult when we've got this right arm in this position out, because most guys, if they don't have that move, would just throw it over the plane, over the top there. So that move, that head move back, that hips are moving back, as you can see, that left knee and left hip starts to move back away from the ball, and that just helps shallow that club head. You'll also see what he's doing there is look at the gap between his elbows. That starts to now pinch in as he works into downswing. Can you see how that gap's getting smaller? That in combination with that head moving back, that left knee moving out and around, and the same with the left hip, starts to help shallow that club head out. Now you see a lot of guys with more of a flex position here. Scottie's pretty much straight with that left wrist. So he has moved from slightly cut position at the top of the swing to a little bit more of a flex position. Can you see that subtle change in wrist angles where he's gone from a little bit of cup there to then pretty much straight with that left wrist? That just allows shallow the club out as well, and it allows for a bit of torque around the shaft to create a bit more speed. Now if we bring him to a similar position there, you'll see how much elbow bend he's got there. Very, very unusual, but he doesn't have a lot of wrist set as we've seen, so he's sort of compensating that by using his left arm as a lever there. Now you'll notice from his hips, this isn't a position I particularly like to see, is if we look at the trail and I'll put a straight line actually, if we look at the trail hip and the lead hip, there's quite a bit of angle there when he gets to that position where the hips are parallel to the target. Now, potentially, when we get in that position, you can see guys start to compress that right side of the spine, especially when you start swinging at that speed. So he's only a young man. We could see from Scottie some lower right side back injuries maybe in the future. Hopefully, I'm wrong and he doesn't have any issues, but we do generally see that pathology with guys who have that high right hip there. So we'll bring him down. Now, he's gone from bent left arm, starts to straighten it. You'll see this is just very, very, very fundamental things that you'll see with great players. That trail elbow is lower than the lead elbow here. You can see from down the line, trail elbow lower than that left elbow. All that does is just put that club in that nice shallow delivery position. You'll notice with Scottie, because of that back up move with the head. If I just draw a line from where his head was at the start to here, look at that. Look how much he stood up through his spine there. But if we look at his touch line, he's pretty much kept on that line all the way through. So it's a shallowing motion whereby that head moves back and then those elbows pinch in, and he sort of stands up through his spine to help shallow that club out, and partly why we see this funky footwork that we'll get onto. So you can see there, look at that lovely position, that trail arm's nice and bent. Now that lead arm's nice and straight, right knees work towards the left. You say he's a little bit more stood up, and he does work on that with his coach of staying in posture, and you can see how much he has stood up through it. Let's bring him down. See, look how that left knee's driving to the right. Sorry, right knee driving to the left. And you'll really see with Scottie, look at that position there. What I want to show you is look at his head position and look how much it moves here and then starts to move back and tilt. Very, very subtle amount that you probably wouldn't see in full speed, but you can see he does move that head quite a lot, and there's quite a lot of rotation specifically through the neck. Look how his head is situated, it's not straight, and you can see that from down the line how he's got this little tilt back. You see that with a lot of great players, how they sort of Tiger did it back in 2000, how they sort of tilt back and tilt that head into that funky little position. Now, much is made about Scottie's footwork, but as you can see there, at impact, we lose it on the left hand side of the screen, but at impact, look at the footwork there. It's very, very stable. He has rolled onto this left side a little bit, but it's very, very stable. But what you'll see is Scottie will move this right foot a lot now after impact, so it's all happening after impact. Now, why he does that is we can see how he does get that head backing up, and he gets that stand up as we talked about. So you can see starts to stand up, and the reason he does that is because under pressure he's got this habit of standing up and tilting back. So he gets that right foot moving towards the left as a way of making sure he gets to that left side and covers the ball instead of backing up out of it. It's very, very difficult to keep your weight on the right side and not get through the golf ball towards the left. So it's like a pressure sort of move. Gary Player used to do an exaggerated thing of walking through the ball. So it's just to sort of help his idiosyncrasies in the swing and under the gun. It's a great way of getting that pressure forward, because you can see, look, the left side actually stays pretty stable. It does roll quite a lot, but it's the right side that gives Scottie that footwork that we see that everybody, where that foot's moving sort of away from the ball and towards that left foot. But that's just an effort just to get his weight forward, and it's a great way under pressure just to keep that weight going forward. And like I said, look at impact. It's not moving until after the ball's been hit, and that's why he's able to be so consistent. And people think of it as, oh, he's moving his feet all over. He's not really until after the ball. I love this golf swing. He does a lot of great matchups. He knows his tendencies of standing up, so he has that footwork to slide through the ball, but a great sort of throwback, old-fashioned, nice and upright. It, like I say, it is a throwback, but you look at some of the best players who have ever played the game, think Jack Nicklaus, think Tiger Woods, when they were dominating, they had this very upright move and more of a sort of lateral move than a rotation move that's quite popular now in the game. Scottie, he's got a great golf swing. He works the ball loads. He's a throwback to the old game. Love his swing. I'm sure he's going to win many more majors in the years to come.